Yo. What's up? Alex just drinking a full bottle of Pepsi right there.
Pepsi. We don't drink Pepsi in this house. Um, well, we're here. We're alive.
Hi.
We're alive
Yup.
as well. Well,
Mm-hmm.
debatable. It's debatable.
Some crazy news this week, man. It's been a busy past couple days.
Has it? I mean, the
Yeah,
world
yeah.
is just slowly turning every day. Mediocrely. Mediocrely? Mediocrely. Mediocre. I don't know. Anyways, you were saying?
Meteorically. It's just like it's been an interesting stuff, especially in the gaming industry. I guess not. I haven't heard a whole lot in the movie industry, but there's definitely some stuff to look forward to in terms of like TV coming up. But really, like I think well, let's just jump right into it. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. That's kind of a not a small topic to get into right off the bat.
Anyways, so moving on. Anyways, just kidding. Small topic. Yeah, it's all right, They will see what they do with it and see if they decide to make everything exclusive or not. That's really what it is. They haven't said anything.
Well, I
So,
mean, it's too early to say, right? Like the deal's not done. It's announced. It's scheduled to be done, but now it's just a matter of actually going through the process, making sure it all gets approved. Nobody's gonna, step in and try to argue, oh, this is gonna create a monopoly, all this kind of stuff. It's like,
well, it depends. It depends what they decide and what they will sell because they will have to sell some products. Because, like, you got, excuse me, a lot of old school games that were exclusive to PlayStation or through Activision, like Crash Bandicoot and all them.
but even Crash Bandicoot hasn't been like in Spyro. They've made their way onto other platforms already, so it's not
Yeah,
like
but
they're
I mean,
exclusive
like, not
anymore.
not necessarily as in giant topics. It's like, I mean, obviously the big talk is obviously the big ones like
It's Call of Duty, right?
Call
Like
of Duty, but I don't think they'll let
Overwatch, Diablo. Yeah.
if they want to make up their money, they're not just going to exclusify that.
Well, and that's the question, right? Because they could make it exclusive. And here, interesting enough, talking about PlayStation and Call of Duty, the top two selling PlayStation games of 2021 was two different Call of Duty titles.
Mm.
Like so,
Yep.
like on one hand, I agree with you. I think it would be really smart for Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, the whole conglomerate to continue to sell on both platforms because hey, you're gonna have a bigger potential audience. But the counter argument is, well, if you only release it on Xbox and PC, then everybody has to play it there. Therefore, people who don't want to play it on PC, is that the gamble worth taking? That are people going to buy an Xbox for Call of Duty? And I think the answer is yes. Like people who are diehard Call of Duty fans would absolutely buy an Xbox if that was the only place to play it.
But if they've already owned the PS5, what's the point? I
Well, if they
don't
already
think.
own a PS5, they might get really pissed off, and so you could alienate some. But I could see others saying, hey, if like
Yeah.
I'm big into like sports games and Call of Duty, if those are the only games I play, and all of a sudden Call of Duty is only available on Xbox, I could see people like selling their PlayStation 5s to buy an Xbox. Like I could see that actually happening.
I don't think so. I think they put a lot of work into making sure that their cross-platform play works really well. So I don't see them changing that narrative. I don't think in any business sense of mind would be the smart way to go. Because not only that, then you're alienating developers, you're alienating um, this age where gaming is becoming very all for all, not
Mhm.
in the, like necessarily one PlayStation versus Xbox. Like that's kind of going out the door slowly with themselves. Like they're working together on small things, like you see um just recently with like last year with MLB PlayStation opening it up and selling it to for an Xbox system. I
Mhm.
think that was more MLB than PlayStation itself,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. Because it's
PlayStation.
not a PlayStation Studios game; it was just an exclusive, right?
No, it was a PlayStation game. We made it. It was the show. It was MLB the show. Is a
Right.
PlayStation. It was a PlayStation
It was
Studio game.
exclusive, but oh, it was a
It's
PlayStation
just
Studio game.
yeah. That's why it was the biggest one. Like so, It was the first game you saw like the Xbox logo and the PlayStation logo on the same
Oh,
box.
you're right. Yeah. Wow.
Um,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and like I agree with you. Like there's definitely been a huge push over the last few years for things like crossplay to work. We've seen it. It started with Fortnite, and then we started to see it roll out to other games as well, pretty steadily. After PlayStation initially was like, "No, we can't do it. This isn't possible." And then Fortnite's like, "No, you're going to do it."
yeah,
So I agree. I think the industry has been going in what I would consider a better for the consumers um, direction for a little while. The fear that I have is, September 2020, Microsoft buys Bethesda. Initially, it sounds like games that were, coming out and future games would also potentially be cross-platform still. And then very quickly, it was discovered that no. The games that have already committed to being cross-platform will continue to be cross-platform. The games future that hadn't gotten to that far yet in their development and agreements, they're going to, like, Starfield will be an exclusive to Xbox and PC. And so the fear and the scary part here is if that's the precedent, there's no reason to say that. Like, I'm sure there's probably contracts already in place for like a Call of Duty franchise to continue on PlayStation for a little while. Like, I'd be shocked if the franchise wasn't and it was just like per title. But the fear is like this could be really the biggest, milestone that heads towards this divide where we're very segregated, and it's going to be like, you know, EA and Ubisoft could be next being bought by either Sony or Microsoft or, the biggest games company in the world, Tencent. Either way, if these massive major studios like Activision start getting picked up left, right, and center, we could have a situation where all of the major developers are under just like 3 different names, and you might be forced to choose what platform you want to play them on again. It's kind of like
well,
going
here's the
back
thing:
to
you
the old
already
days,
have because you already bought the system. So if you already have the system set, you're already forced to at the point because you mean you went out all this work to get this system. You were going
Mhm.
out to buy another one. Not everyone has the availability to buy both.
No, exactly. Most
So
most won't. Yeah.
so like it's one of those things where they've already done it. So I don't think they're that stupid. I think it's a stupid move too if they're not to make it to have both on both ends, um, and not work with Sony. I don't think they wouldn't. I mean, you're just buying, so they're buying the developers more. So they already know how to work with. The only problem is now is I see it as the only way is I can see that Sony being like, okay, they have our tech knowledge. Do we? I mean, it's not like it's a secret or anything. Like Xbox, if
Anybody can
Xbox
get a dev
wanted to
kit.
get that information, they
Yep.
could. But like, okay, we've talked to these guys and told them their plans now. Like more of a sales type strategy than anything.
Mhm.
So what are they going to tell Xbox? What are they going to get above us? I mean, most times they're all in the loop because it's all shareholder stuff, anyways.
Mhm.
People who have shareholders in one usually have shares in the other. At least the rich ones do. Like I would assume that'd be the smart thing to do. And then sell them, not sell when they start tanking and stuff, which won't happen for a while. Anyways, I don't see them getting out of it. I just don't. Personally, I think they'll stay with the exclusive, not the
You know,
exclusivity,
I
just to
hope
make it
so.
work.
Right. I hope that,
For
we
some
continue to see
games, I
like,
mean, for like Call of
like
Duty, I
the
think, yeah,
Halos and the Forzas will continue on Xbox,
yeah,
and the Horizon Zero Dawns and the Uncharted's will continue on the PlayStation. Where I see this getting really interesting is, sure, like Call of Duty and everything could just continue as is on both platforms, and I think it's a smart move. You have a wider audience. These are the biggest selling games across both of these platforms. You might as well capitalize on that. Where I think it gets really interesting is, uh, on Xbox you have Game Pass. Game Pass is really collecting steam. Since the same time that they announced this acquisition, which we haven't announced yet, $70 billion for the, like, 70 billion to buy. This is insane purchase. But they also announced alongside it that Xbox Game Pass has surpassed 25 million subscribers. That's significant because now, not only has Xbox already been releasing their first party titles over and over again on Game Pass on launch. So, those of us who have Xbox, like, I haven't bought a game on Xbox, I think, since well before my Series X was purchased. And I've been playing all the latest games for Like nothing. You know what I mean? Like Game Pass really doesn't cost a lot of money. It costs less than Netflix.
Which is gonna, in the end, actually gonna hurt them. Like it's the same thing that happened to the movie industry when streaming came around. It did hurt them for a bit. They will bounce back from it, but like without the
Mhm.
sales of
It
physical games,
changes
not
the
even physical
industry.
games, but like
Yeah.
the sales of games, like that Game Pass in 2 years is gonna be triple what it is now. Like the cost of it.
Well, I
Not
mean,
only
yeah, if Netflix
because
is anything to go by, it keeps going up and up and up and up, right?
well, not even like well that too, but the cost of games are already at $90 that thing, right?
Mhm.
So you start putting that into influx, and then you get competition from Sony, Nintendo, all those guys who start doing it, and then everything else is just going to keep going up. And then what's the point anymore if you're spending that much on that? Like it would be like I can't see them. I wouldn't be surprised in the next by the end of the 2025, it's $100 a month. I wouldn't be
I don't
surprised.
think so. I don't see that happening. And the reason
If
why I
you
say
if
that
they
is
not if they have to if they're not selling games, you those companies aren't making the money anymore. I know there's people who
yeah,
still
like
will
it
buy
certainly is a different
games,
revenue stream, but here's the
but
thing: when Microsoft is the owner of all of these studios that they're putting them in, like it's Microsoft that's at the end of the day, they're they're funding this, right? So they're finding a way to make this work. They've been doing it for a few years now. More and more developers, even non-first party developers, are jumping on the Game Pass bandwagon. That's telling. Like that tells you that something
yeah, but
about
that's
this is
still
working,
from a business point
right?
of mind. There's got to be a physical
A revenue stream.
marketplace that's coming
Oh,
through. A second one. That's why they're
yeah.
getting into it because they can right
Hmm.
now. But then there's gonna have to find another way of making it. Like computers and
Well,
consoles, or the consoles are
yeah.
slowly buying out and they're moving into different things. Then
Mhm.
that's the tell when you see them buying television companies. When they see like you see them buy Samsung, you see them buy. They won't
Mhm.
buy Samsung. That's if anything, Sony will. But if you see like them buying, more American branded companies, I don't think a lot of Japanese companies are going to not sell. But that's a totally different subject. But
Mhm.
I think that's where because I just don't see them. They'll start losing money eventually. Like there's just no way without physical. It's the
Well,
same with the
if you
like.
try to maintain things exactly as it is today, right? Because right now there's still a good amount of sales in
Mhm,
terms of like physical sales. Not everybody's on Game Pass.
yeah,
It's only 25 million subscribers. There's a lot more players out there, right?
yeah,
But we already see other revenue streams coming in gaming. Microtransactions are a regular thing in gaming, and a lot of like think about
mhm.
Fortnite.
But it's a
That's a
those
free to
are.
play game that makes more money than just about any other game out
I mean
there. You know
that's
what
a
I
little
mean?
different. I think Fortnite's a little different because they focused on the right age group at the right time and have monopolized that age group
Mhm.
more than anything. I think, and then they got the right streamers to play it and brainwash children into playing and buying these things and
Like
buying
you can
V-Bucks.
see in other games as well, right? Like every EA
Oh,
title
they've
has
been
a
around a while for a long
cajillion,
time, but like I've never really bought into
microtransactions,
those microtransactions, and I know a lot of people won't.
but a lot of
I
people
just
do.
feel like there is going to be a big price increase more than anything if they're going to continue this way, and especially like I said, if the competition starts going on like
Well, we already know
PlayStation will.
PlayStation's working on a competitor to Game Pass. We know
Yeah,
that's coming. Yeah.
but I just mean like what they're going to start doing first is bring in, which they've already been rumored about, is bringing PlayStation's going to start doing their backwards compatible. Like they're going to start bringing
Mm,
PS3 games in,
they need to.
which
Yeah.
well they've already like it's already been rumored and been proven that because the PS store, the PlayStation store is
Mhm.
already showing PlayStation 3 games, a few of them,
Yep.
and so a lot of people are like, okay, where's the update for it though? So we're all just waiting for that update. But
Mhm.
I don't really care until Grand Theft Auto 4 comes around. But I don't think we're ever
The
going to see that.
only game you want.
'Cause they keep remaking all the games that I already play. So other than
Mhm.
Dragon Age, they haven't done that one yet. But they might with the new one that they do in a few years. Anyways, I don't know. We'll see what they choose to do. I mean, you can keep spending all this money, but you have to make it back eventually. And
Oh, absolutely. And I
eventually, like
mean,
if you're taking over what they're doing right now, but again, you got to look at Activision works with other developers as well. Like you look at Naughty Dog and stuff. Like yes, they're a PlayStation company.
mhm.
Technically, PlayStation doesn't own them, but they are there. Like they work
They're
exclusively
like a
with
second
PlayStation.
party studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they also
Yeah.
work with Activision sometimes, and then it's the same with like 2K. Well, I guess 2K took over what Activision was doing with
Mhm.
all those guys.
Yep. Yep.
2K is a whole different thing too.
Yeah.
And like you said, EA. I don't think EA would ever. I don't
Well,
know with the right
and
price, I
here's the
guess.
thing, like
But
we're like you made a good point before talking about like the movie industry and how they've changed. Like basically, Microsoft's starting to do what Disney did, has been doing over the last decade and a half when they bought, first they bought Pixar, then they bought Marvel and Star Wars. They just bought Fox. Like they are grabbing all the big players, and it looks like Microsoft's starting to try to go down a very similar path to taking like what Disney's been doing and what Disney's been very successful in doing. Like it's not just buying these big franchises, but it's playing the long-term game of saying, yeah, we're going to spend a lot of money up front today, but we're going to make even more in the long term. That's the
yeah,
idea, right?
that's it.
And
Yeah, but the thing with like if you compare it with the movies things, like the problem with when you're buying movie studios, like the theater still brings in racks and still tons of money.
totally. Yeah.
Like right, like people are still going to go to the movie theaters. It's
Yep.
different when it comes to games, I think, because like even me, like I don't buy a game physically unless it will say the PS5 on it. No,
Sure.
right? Like that's just personal preference. That's just a image thing that I have. I don't want to have to buy a PS4 game because
Yeah.
I would have kept a PS4 if I wanted a PS4 game. That's just my opinion. But but they're making like let's look at Spider-Man that made Sony and Disney. I don't know who's taking what from that, but they've already hit $1 billion. I'm pretty sure, and they've already surpassed Endgame and Titanic.
Really? Wow.
Maybe not Titanic. No, they surpassed Titanic. It's Titanic.
Yeah.
But they passed Endgame as well. I'm pretty sure.
That's
in
incredible.
something they passed Endgame in something. But
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, like it's the same. Then when you don't have the video games, like movies, people are still buying movies like physical copies for some reason. I don't know why. You do, and I don't get it either.
I
But
mean, I haven't bought a physical copy of a movie in a while. I'll tell you that much.
You still get the Disney thing, still, don't you?
Oh, I don't buy, like I have an option to buy these movies monthly, but like I don't. Most months I skip out. Like it's been a long time since I bought a physical movie. Yeah.
But anyways,
I don't.
it's different. I mean, there's always going to come back. So like you look at music, like CDs disappeared. People are still buying CDs for some reason too. That's kind of weird. But vinyl made their comeback in the last
Vinyl
5
made a huge
years.
comeback. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I mean, I think that's just people understanding what vinyl was now. Also, it was a cool thing to do. But
Yes.
if you
yes,
listen to,
it was
if you
a
have the
fad.
right record player and the right sound system, vinyl's 10 times better than like a CD. Like it's just crazy, in my opinion. Anyways, and digital, because fuck man, we'll get into that in a second. These fucking AirPod Pros, not Pros, the AirPods, the new generation, I fucking hate them. But I digress. We'll see. Like that's in the end. Like I said, they spent all this money. They're gonna have to fucking find a way to make it back, and they will eventually. But
yeah, if Call of Duty's anything at all, it's the biggest franchise, and it has been for the better part of like a decade and a half, 2 decades now. Like,
but I also don't know how the internet works that well. So, like how much, like I know it's like Netflix makes money based off of how much something gets played and how much of all this and all that. And I don't know what's the same. What is the same with the video games and all that, right? It could be different.
Yep.
It could be very much the same. It could be better.
I mean, again, like clearly they figured something out, because if for all these developers to continuously put their stuff on, for EA to put EA Play into Game Pass, like clearly people are making money and they're happy to add their stuff to this. So
well, I think it may not be them making money. It might be Microsoft just paying for it, and then hopefully
Microsoft could be putting themselves into a hole.
Yeah, exactly. Like hopefully that it will work out. But then like it's that people like, and then EA is going to see a drop in sales themselves soon if they keep doing this, because like if you look at NHL, they release that every year, and it's their top grossing game, and they like physically people buy that every physical year because they put a new
EA sports titles are like
they put a new
NFL 22 was like, or Madden 22 was the third top selling game on PlayStation last year, and
because they put a new star on it every year, and everyone loves those games, and they're collectibles in the end. So it's hard to say, like, is EA going to pass that up as much?
And again, no,
like seeing a losing a revenue system, but they're going to want something more.
Biggest developer around pushing microtransactions. Like every sports title has like a huge amount of microtransactions built into it, and there's a reason why EA keeps doing it year after year with all their games, because they're making money. Like, they're
Well,
very
except for
obviously
Star
making
Wars.
money off this. Well,
Star
Star
Wars
Wars,
was
they pushed the fandom too much on that one, and people
yeah.
weren't having it. Yeah, when it's pay to win, that's different,
Yeah.
But yeah, they pushed it a little too aggressively on that one. But like, even now, like, all the companies are talking about trying to bring NFTs in, and most of the popular, like, or most of the average person still doesn't have a clue what an NFT is.
I
And
don't care.
those who have like partial knowledge, to them it sounds like it's just another microtransaction. And then those who have spent a bit more time realize, don't buy NFTs, because you're buying nothing.
Yeah.
You're just
Doesn't make any sense.
you're buying
From
a
what
digital
I
certificate
understand
to
from
say
it,
that you own whatever digital thing
yeah, you're
is
owning a
there.
digital picture that can be replicated by somebody else in a different way that can legally be replicated and not
Oh,
be
well, like,
taken money for it.
here's
You
a
know what I
perfect
mean? Like,
example. Here's a perfect example. So yesterday there was an article came out about a crypto group that bought an NFT copy of a very rare Dune book, and they for like it was like for like $18 million or something. Like, it was just like ridiculous how much money this like NFT went for, because clearly they didn't really understand what an NFT is, because they thought by buying this they had the rights to Dune.
yeah,
They don't. You bought a digital copy of this book, this very rare book, and it is their copy. But like, this is just
yeah,
what I don't understand about people who are buying like NFTs right now. It's just like, you're not buying anything. You have like this like digital thing, and especially in games, like Ubisoft initially was talking about giving you just like a numbered like helmet, and then that would be yours in the game, and it's yours, and it's like, cool, but I really don't care, because I'm going to go play another game and I'm not going to have it, am I? Right? It's just
yeah,
another microtransaction. And then on top of that, the environmental impact in creating an NFT token is so high. It's actually in cities where some of these like these servers are doing this work for NFTs, it's driving the cost of energy up, and people who live in those cities are no longer able to afford their electrical bills as a result. It's insane. It's so dumb. Like, we're harming the environment by minting NFTs. So like, NFTs are bad. Don't do it. Like, that's my
the
PSA.
whole cryptocurrency
Um,
thing in general, the whole crypto world is a bad idea in general right now. Physically,
well, crypto. The
well, here's
idea
my
of
thing
crypto
about
is
it, like
actually really
you're
good.
gonna the idea. So before we go into that, like what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is that if we don't start working on what's physical right now, like if you don't like, if we're not using cash, we're not using this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the world is literally going to fall apart financially. Like if you look at it from banks, from bank points, I've talked to a lot of bankers in general from from work in general,
Mm-hmm.
like tellers and stuff. They're like, well, one, they've lost tons of jobs in the banking industry, which was going to happen
Mm-hmm.
anyway. They don't, the banks
Yes.
make too much money as it is, but
Yep.
well, more American banks than Canadian banks. The Canadian banks are owned by the government, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, which is a little bit better. But if cash doesn't start rolling, like literally, the government can't produce money. And if we start going cryptically, then that's even makes it even worse because
Oh,
the
it'll
money's not flying.
destabilize the
So
economy.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
I mean, we got COVID already doing that in a sense.
Yeah.
So for them, people and like understand, like, okay, well, we're at home, so we might as well start moving into this world. But people just need to realize, like, the world's been working for so
The
long.
way it's
Some things
structured.
have to need change, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the main structure, which is unfortunately money, is the way this world has kind of kept it going, and most of it's been cash. If we're not dealing in cash, then the world kind of. We saw a big problem with that when electronic banking came in. Like it was huge, and it kind of like
Which
economic.
I prefer. I think it's better to use
Oh,
electronic
I
banking.
get
Like
it, but
that.
when like people stopped using cash and only started using
Mm,
debit cards, like the money
yep.
influx. That's why our dollar bill went down so low.
Mm,
Because we don't have a dollar bill. We have a
yeah.
loonie, which I
No.
mean, everyone just kind of discards anyways. They don't really think much of it.
No.
Um, if it was a bill, it'd be a totally different show. I guarantee it. But
Yeah.
I don't need another bill in my pocket. So, but I'm just saying, people use cash. If you're going out, use cash. unless it's like over $100, obviously. Then don't carry over $100 in your wallet.
I so like I'm like I don't carry cash on me. I don't like carrying cash on me. I would much prefer just to be electronic with everything. It's more secure. I don't have to worry about if I lose my wallet, somebody's just going to magically be able to spend all my
There's a
money.
whole other thing there. That's a whole
Um,
other can of worms I want to talk about.
Whatever. But like, going back to crypto a little bit, like the idea of crypto is actually like it's good in terms of like for the individual, right? You just made a really good case for why it's not good for like the economy as it is today and the way our governments are structured today. But as an individual, decentralizing currency and money is allowing you to just be a bit more private, have a bit more control over your money and where it's stored and all these things. And I think that that's a good thing. I think the way cryptocurrency is working right now is very complex and a little bit underground, but part of that is because governments don't want it. Governments and banks really don't want it because it's going to take down the banks. So yeah, I mean, if cryptocurrency is successful in their campaign and what they're attempting, it could really, really mess with society as we know it, or the economy as we know it. So anyway,
It's just something
that's a
that
huge side.
I just, I just don't understand why we need to fuck with money the way it is. I mean, personally, I think yes, we already have stocks that really fuck everything up as it is. Why do we
Yep.
need to add something else that's going to make it even worse?
Well,
That
it's
just
taking control away from the people who have been in control of your
I
money
get
for all
that.
this time, right?
I feel like there's other ways of doing that. I personally have never really been affected by it in my own mind, my own sense. I'm sure I have been. I just don't. I'm too blind to
Haven't
care.
educated yourself to understand when and how.
No, I just don't give a shit. I mean, but that's also just a lot of things. Um, I get the individuality thing. Everyone needs to work on their own money way, but we also need to make sure not everyone's dying in the streets.
Mm,
Um, but that again, another issue. But when you bring up lost wallets, a lot of things I've been seeing these things, and I get it, but I really don't. Is these AirTag things that people are putting in their
mm,
fucking wallets? I don't understand how people lose their wallet that much.
mm.
Like, I lose my keys, sure, but I don't lose them. I just misplace them. Like, I literally they're just not in the same place I put them. I think I
That's
put them
just like
every day.
lack of good habits, like
Yeah,
I have
that's
a place I put my keys, and like I
yeah.
always know that
Like,
that's
that's
the
what I mean.
place,
That's a little
right?
different. Keys aren't like,
Hmm.
whatever, they're keys. But your wallet, like, I don't understand how you lose them.
Yeah.
And, like, people are making wallets now. I see them on, like, ads everywhere for them that you can put your tag in there. I'm like
Hmm.
or they come with one. And I'm like,
Yep.
how like how bad are you losing this fucking wallet? And it's like the thing with the AirTags is like it just shows you the general area where it is. It doesn't tell you
Yes.
exactly where it is, especially if like you lose it in your house. If you lose it in
Hmm.
your house, different story. Like you just go, oh, it's at this address. Cool. That's
I'll find
helpful.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it like gives off a tone or whatever, and you can try to find it.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
if it's anything like the AirPod tone, you're never gonna fucking find it. Um, but it's just I just don't get it. Like I don't lose my wallet. I do stupid shit with other things I own, but I don't lose. I just don't get that. I just don't understand it. I just don't. But it's not me, man.
Yeah, no, I can't remember the last time that I've never lost a wallet. I've never had to
Yeah,
replace ID. Nothing. That's never happened to me. I've seen and heard a billion people who have, and I understand why there's a market for
I get
making
it, but I'm
wallets
like, I
with
also
AirTags
don't
going
get
in.
like,
I just don't
like,
understand why it
like
happens.
you know,
Yeah.
like things that you're not used to having on you all the time. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, your passport. Like I've lost that obviously once, but like that's just something I'm not used to having on me or
Yeah.
using. So it was just odd for me to, not necessarily think about me having it. But when your wallet, you literally bring that everywhere. At least for men, I would assume you
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
everywhere, right? Because it's an ID, especially nowadays. I
Yeah.
mean, most things are on our phone, but like, and then people who lose their phone, that's even crazier. Something like I get drunk nights, I get that, but even then,
But
it's just
like,
like,
yeah,
what?
it's one of those things you're so used to having on you at all times now. Like we've all been like programmed to like always be within reach of your phone. And I attribute losing your phone or your wallet to the best way I can, and it's going to sound kind of mean, but I think it's privilege. I think it's people are just so like lackadaisical about these things. They just think like, oh, whatever. Like, like I've been so privileged throughout my life that I don't have to worry about this stuff. And if I lose it, like
I guess there is the habit of
I think there's a
people
part of it.
Like for me, I never take my wallet out of my pants. Like I never do unless I'm washing them. And I think that's just me. I know a lot of people get home and they take everything out of their pockets and they place it down. And I get that.
Yeah.
That's just not me. So maybe that's what it is. And I just don't I don't lose those kind of things very much. I lose small things that I use once in a while, like I said, once in a while or whatever. But I don't generally lose.
Yeah, I don't think it's reasonable to expect like we're human. We're gonna lose things. It's gonna happen. But I think like there's key things like this. And actually, that you raise a good point about the pocket thing, because I think for you and I, well, we wear jeans and they have pockets. They're big enough for these things. And there's a lot of people who fashionably
I get
a place for it, so they carry it, right? They have it in their hands, and at some point they're going to put it down, and at some point
the thing that bothers me the
most,
back up. The people who use their phones as their wallets, I don't get it. You are literally going to lose everything in
one go.
In one go. Why risk that? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. If you're going out at night, for women, I totally get it, because women don't want to carry anything, and I get that.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, come on.
It's putting all of your chips in one basket, and that's
you go somewhere and say, "Oh, this is my phone. Here's my ID to prove it," or whatever. No, your phone's in with the fucking ID. Oh, my phone and ID are together. So how can you prove it? Oh, I don't got nothing because it's on there.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean, most IDs have your face on it, but that's not the point.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
It's like somebody could easily take all your information and get you right there and then.
Yep.
I mean, it's easy to get anyone's information nowadays, anyways. But if you do it right.
Yeah,
that's if you do it right.
Yeah, it's interesting that those certain items. I think something that I've been bad for is like having to run back to like a restaurant table to grab my sunglasses, because I'll wear them, I'll get to the patio, I'll put them down, because like, where do you put sunglasses? Like, if it's on your head, it's going to be falling down, especially as you're eating. I don't really want to deal with that, so I'll put it on the table. It's in sight. You'd think I'd remember it by the time I get up to leave, but multiple times I know I've forgotten it on the table and I've had to jet back to the table and grab it. And I think that's just one of those things that, because I don't have it with me all the time, like my wallet, my phone, everywhere I go, I have those things. So for me to forget either of those things somewhere, like, and me not to notice, would be really unusual. And I struggle to understand how people so consistently are so like lackadaisical about those items, and they'll just drop them wherever they are. So it's interesting.
I don't know. Yeah,
it's very interesting.
It's weird. Yes.
Well, that was a tangent.
Yes. You want to hear a very, very dark joke?
Go for it.
Sad at the same time.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Betty White and? It would have been better if I practiced this.
Is it too soon to do this joke?
It might be. Hold on, let me remember the guy's name.
What's the difference between Betty White? All right, well, while Alex figures that out, this podcast is brought to you in part by Wordle. It hasn't actually. We're not making any money off of that, but it seems to be a popular thing, so I decided to bring it up because I started playing it over the last 3 days, and now I'm addicted. I don't know if you can be addicted to something that you play once a day for 3 days.
I don't know. Anyways, figured it out. So what's the difference between Paul Walker and Betty White?
Oh, I don't know.
One made it to 100 before they died.
Ouch.
I told you. It was dark and sad at the same time.
To be fair, though, she didn't make it to 100. Her 100th birthday was just this week.
One made it to 100 before they died. Think about it.
Oh, he made it.
Think about it.
Yeah. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, that's even darker than I initially.
Yeah, I told you it was going to be dark.
Man, good job. Well done. Did you come up with that all on your own?
Hell no. I don't care about that much. I just thought it was dark and funny. And I like watching people's reactions to when they hear those things. Like some people are like, oh shit. And some people get dramatically upset over it. Like I get it. It would have been a milestone for Betty White. There's like one thing I ever watched her in, to be really honest. And it was like a scene from Community. And that was it. I don't even
And she
remember
was on the
anything else.
couch during Troy and Abed's little thing.
Yeah, well, she was the professor where she had to drink
Yeah.
her own urine and stuff. But
Right.
that's really all I remember. You don't really much like. Yeah, she's done like she always did like the spots on like comedy shows and
Yeah, she popped up quite frequently over the years.
nothing that impacted my life. Like Paul Walker. Paul Walker didn't impact my life at all. Like,
I
let's
was
be
gonna say,
real.
like, when did Paul Walker impact you specifically?
No, I get it though. I mean, people,
Yeah.
were invested. Like Golden Girls did a lot of things for a lot of gay people.
Yeah. And I
From
mean,
what I've
Paul
read.
Walker, was a really good person outside of, the movies. He actually had a charity that he self-funded and did not, get other people to help and support. He just did it
Yeah.
himself, and
And he
he
wasn't a
didn't
fake
want
friend of
publicity
Vin
for it.
Diesel's.
Sorry?
And he wasn't a fake friend of Vin Diesel's. He was an actual
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Saved everyone else the trouble, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to be famous ever again. I'm gonna get in so much trouble these days.
Yeah.
If I ever get famous, I won't be famous for very long. I'll tell you what.
Today, Alex Pollock has been canceled. Who's Alex
Yeah.
Pollock? Yeah, well, he got famous today, so we needed to cancel him.
I'd be canceled so quick because I have some crazy ideas. Crazy.
Oh man,
Things we can't talk about on this show because it will just get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Not really. But other things, back to one of the other points I brought up. Those fucking AirPods Generation 2, or whatever generation we're on now.
Yeah, you
Fuck,
got
I don't know.
the newest AirPods, right?
God, they're awful.
Yeah.
Like, you can't eat anything, at least for me. Apparently, if I eat anything with them in them, they just fall out because there's too much movement. Or either that or my ears are too big. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I like the other ones better. They didn't move at all. Like, these ones are oddly shaped, and I don't like the fit of them. Like, I wear them. And they're quieter than the other ones.
Yeah, it's
Like,
interesting.
I understand
I
that.
feel like they changed the design to be more like the AirPod Pros, but the thing that helps the AirPod Pros are they've got the little like silicone. Actually, I have mine right here. They've got the silicone ends on them, so they actually like fit into your eardrum, and then they kind of like
Yeah, I hate the
hold
silicone
because
thing.
of the silicone, right? But
yeah,
that's
like,
what gives you the noise cancellation, right?
Yeah, so we got these things, and like they just fall out. Like they just they sit in there, and too much movement, and they'll fall out.
Which is funny because like the original AirPods, like so much time and development was put into them so that you could go jogging with them and they would stay in your ears, right?
Yeah, I had the better luck with the other ones. Like I haven't run with these on it, but like I found like if I moved my mouth too much or anything, they just fell out. Or if I was sitting at them, like if I had like this a bit or something, they'd literally fall out.
That's annoying.
And then they're just not as loud as the other ones. I know like iPhone, like the new iOS has a noise reduction program in it, which like I don't have it on. Like I have it on like the way because you can't turn it off. But I have it as loud as it can let you. But then it's just like it's still not as loud as I'd like. I'd like to go deaf. Like let me try. You just want to hear the world sometimes.
I don't know. Have you heard of this company named Apple that likes to have like total control over what they think is best for people?
Yeah, I know. I have the shittiest laptop in the world. I get it. It's not the shittiest one, but
no, it's pretty good.
It's got a shitty ports. It's only got 2 ports.
It's only got 2 ports.
I can't even charge I can't even charge it right now. Like, you know what I mean?
What?
Because I have the camera and the audio interface.
Get a dock, yeah, you dingus.
Yeah, sometimes they don't work, and they're not great. You gotta buy the good ones, and then the good ones are stupid, and then you have to get them mailed. It's a whole thing. But anyways, lots of things happen in TV and movies, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we got today big news. We got a trailer finally for. Well, I shouldn't say a trailer. We got a teaser for the Lord of the Rings.
It was an announcement trailer. It was an announcement
of Power. Yeah.
It was an announcement trailer for Lord of the
Rings.
It
was cool though. Like obviously you don't see anything about the show. But like
they changed the opening line. They so from what I understand, like from what I remember, I could be wrong. I don't really care about that much about Lord of the Rings. The Dark Lord made himself a ring, right? Like that's what I understood of it. He made that ring. The One Ring to rule them all. He made it, right? Because he wasn't given one
for him.
Well, that's what this introduction says, that it was made for him, but I
Yeah.
remember it being made like, that was the whole point of it, is that he didn't get one, and he wanted one that was stronger than all of them, so he made his own in Mount Mordor.
Hmm.
Isn't that like,
Okay, okay.
that's
So here's the ring verse specifically. So it goes, one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord to his dark throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. So yeah, like it was made for him. Like
it's so
that's
weird.
that's what the inscription always was,
So whoever
or
made
the
these
verse.
rings,
Yeah.
whomever it was, I don't really care who it was, wanted the world to end. That's pretty much what they're saying. So this whole story is built on the world wanting to end, because you wouldn't give the Dark Lord a ring if you didn't want the world to end, and you wanted the men just to die. Like, obviously, it was a prophecy thing
No.
where they saw, like, "Oh, yes, they're going
So
to happen." But
So I'm reading like a description of this whole thing, and um this is what it says. At the creation of the One Ring, the smiths of Erigian, I don't know how to pronounce it,
well, it
who had
doesn't matter.
forged the other rings of power, heard in their minds the voice of Sauron reciting the words. They then realized his plans, removing the rings from their fingers. So they were created to bring like balance, right? Um, and then when they heard that Sauron and what his plans were with this One Ring and with these rings, that's when they were like, oh crap, we shouldn't have done this, basically.
I don't
Regardless,
remember anything from that from the
crazy
movie.
stuff.
I remember that I vividly remember him making his own fucking ring and then killing everybody with it. But maybe he took all the rings, and that's why he
Well,
was so powerful, and then
no,
blended
he
them
just
all
had the One
together to
Ring.
make the one.
He just
I
had the
don't
Ring of
know.
Power.
That doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense. It just doesn't make any
you
sense.
got to read the
Like,
books, man,
yeah,
or go
fuck
back and
that.
rewatch the movies.
Well, this is what I'm remembering it from the movies. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what they did with the other rings for the other places. Obviously, all the men lost them
Mhm.
because they buried them, or like they like no, that's the one they're talking about, the power of the ring. Like, I don't even remember the montage of the power of the ring. The power ring, sorry, is where
Mhm.
like is found during the battle between the elves and the men and elves versus Mordor, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call them, the orcs, whatever. And then they beat him, and then the king takes the ring because he was going to destroy it, but he doesn't. He keeps it. Then he goes insane and gets killed, and it gets lost forever. And then this hobbit finds it.
All right, we're getting in deep here. I'm reading into it to get a better understanding, because I'm not going to claim like I'm some like Lord of the Rings expert. Like I've read some of the books, I've obviously watched the films, but here is the exact, you know, history of the Rings of Power. So the Rings of Power were 20 magical rings forged in the Second Age, intended by Sauron to seduce the rulers of Middle Earth to evil,
Well, he
disguised as
did
a
make it.
benevolent. Well, he basically like commissioned it.
Same thing.
Disguised as a benevolent entity called Anatar, Sauron taught the elven smiths of Eregion, still don't know how to pronounce that,
Aragian
led
or
by
whatever, yeah.
Celebrimbor, how to craft the rings. So he taught the elven smiths how to make rings of power. He just didn't make them himself. 19 of these rings were made. 3 rings for the elves, 7 for the dwarves, 9 rings for men. An additional ring, the One Ring, was forged by Sauron himself. There you go. It was forged
He
by
did make
Sauron
it.
at Mount Doom. The 19 lesser rings were linked
Doom, Mordor,
somehow
same
to the
thing.
power of the One and were dependent on it. Their wearers could be controlled by the wearer of the One, and if the One was destroyed, their own powers would fade with the power of the rings under the One. There you go. Now you know. The more you know.
Like, I'm into this kind of stuff, and this whole thing is just so fucking weird. I don't want to read the books. The books, I feel like it was written for somebody else. It wasn't meant for somebody like me, so I don't want really
Sure.
want to read it. It was written for white people. That's just the truth.
Wow.
Tell me I'm wrong. Um, well, think about it. You don't see one colored person in that book or film. Um,
Well, the book, you can't say that. The film, that's on the filmmakers.
eh, well,
Eh,
they went by the book. He went page by page by that book.
But
Oh, when was this book written?
mhm.
Like 1990, 12?
Okay, so The Hobbit was written in the 30s.
Yeah, see?
The Lord of the
People
Rings were
hated
written in
colored
like
people
the
back then.
50s. I want to say. I don't know.
Um, anyways, point is, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying there wasn't any. It wasn't written for me. You know,
Fair.
it's the truth. It just wasn't. It was written for nerdy white people at the time. It
Nerdy.
didn't even get finished in time. So suck on that history. Um. Anyways,
So yeah, there's a TV show. It's coming out
there's
later
all
this year. This
this
year?
other topic that I can't talk about on this podcast because it would just blow everyone's mind. And it's just it blew my mind a little bit. Not really blow my mind. I just didn't understand it. But things like that, it's so hard to talk about. But they need to be talked about. But then you can't talk about them. I hate those kind of subjects.
Yeah, so September 2nd, 2022, Amazon Prime. Let's just hope that they do a better job than what they did with the Wheel of Time.
Fuck's sakes. I hope so. They put I think it was like $100 million.
lot.
Like it was like $1 billion for this
I
series.
think it's the most expensive TV show ever
No,
commissioned at this point.
The
Is
Last
it
of
not?
Us apparently is.
Oh, interesting. I wonder
Yeah.
why that would be so much more expensive.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I really don't know. But apparently, Last of Us
Me.
is the most expensive TV show. Apparently, it's like almost $2 million, $2 million or $3 million an episode.
Dang, that's
Yeah,
crazy. That is
I
crazy.
don't see it getting picked up for a second season if nobody watches it.
Yeah.
Which everyone will watch the first episode and they realize it's just the fucking game, and then they'll stop watching it.
Hopefully not.
What?
I said hopefully that's not what happens.
Well, they already said it's like the game. Like that's what I don't get understand. I don't know what Naughty Dog's thinking here. Like releasing this story between. Like I get it. Like a lot of people haven't played the game. I get it, and it's a very, very great story.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to change some things up. I'm sure there has to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it's what they did with. I don't know. I forget the one thing that was kind of stupid. It's kind of like Walking Dead. It was like ripped right out of the books. I never read the book, but it was well done. The TV show, the first few seasons at least.
Yeah,
it was ripped out of the books. Apparently, a lot of people who read the books were like, "What? Give us something a little different." And then there was the people who were like, "Oh, it's not right into the book," and I'm like, "You can't just write something that's straight out of the book and put it in like, what's the point of having the two versions?"
You're never gonna make everybody happy. You kind of have to make
Trust
a
me, nobody ever
choice
makes
at
me
one point.
happy. High five.
Yeah, at some point, creative, freedoms are going to be taken, and we'll see. We'll see how The Last of Us goes. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is.
Unfortunately, it is what it is. And then we got yesterday with Moon Knight, the quite opposite of what I said.
Yeah, interesting trailer. I didn't know quite
trailer.
what to expect. I like it was like they showed a fair amount.
Yeah. Well, he's just a guy who has a mental illness and then goes crazy and becomes a superhero.
Yeah, well, basically he has like insomnia, right? And,
yeah.
The reason he has insomnia is because when he
blacks out. Yeah, he blacks
conscious.
out.
He's not sleeping. He's transforming to become Moon Knight. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Some sad news came out, I think today, about one of the actors in Moon Knight has passed away from a ski accident. So that's really unfortunate. But the trailers got me intrigued.
Yeah, so there are obviously some people, pay attention to these trailers way too much.
Oh, of course. People analyze the shit out of this stuff.
Yeah, and there's one, I'm trying to find the picture of it. I watched the actual video of it, but I didn't see if somebody screenshotted it or not.
Sure.
But when the one scene when he's in that bathroom area or whatever it is, beating up whatever he's doing.
Yep.
If you look at the TV, there's a TV in that room. And if you look at it really closely enough, you see the guy who owned Peter Parker's apartment in Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 3. The Tobey Maguire one. So everyone's like, oh, snap. Is Moon Knight in that multiverse? Wouldn't make sense because that's the Sony multiverse. But interesting to see. Is this a Tobey Spider-Man? Because Moon Knight is from New York. So a lot of people are hoping that, we get a really big a New York team up. with like when they bring back in, they'll finally get put back into it, like actually into it. Same with Luke Cage, Jessica Jones,
Mhm.
um, Iron Fist. What's her face? I can't remember her name. The other girl with the metal arm. You didn't watch Luke Cage, did you?
I watched. No, I think I've seen all of Luke Cage.
The second season and everything.
Yep,
When
I've
she
seen.
got her,
Yeah,
when the
was there a
detective
third
got the
season?
metal arm. There was
Did it
two.
ever make it to a third season?
I don't think there was a third one. I think there
Okay,
was only
so
the
I've
two.
seen all of it.
When
Yeah,
she
yeah.
gets her metal arm. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, it'd be interesting because then Spider-Man could be part of that, and it's a whole thing. There's a lot of superheroes in one part of New York, and it's kind of funny. There needs that many people to protect it, even though it's like only small boroughs. But a lot of them, like there's people who are like, oh, why does they only have one person protect Hell Kitchen? Well, they have like Hell's Kitchen. We're not getting into that. There's a lot of confusing things into it, and I go down a rant and it'd be a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
But yeah, Moon Knight. I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't take place in like the MCU as we know it. But again, like with all of the multiverse stuff blowing up, there's no reason to suspect that everything has to originate in the universes where we've been watching up until this point, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though is, I just finally watched Eternals last week, and for anybody who has seen it, or I guess who hasn't seen it, you should have watched it by now, but spoilers if you haven't. Kit Harington is the Black Knight we've discovered.
That
And I
was
don't know
already
if there's
announced a long time ago.
okay, that was actually like officially
So
announced like publicly.
when they announced him for Eternals, they told him who his character was. They announced his character, and then everyone
Right.
knew who that character was in the comics.
Oh, okay.
So everyone knows
Yeah.
he turns into the Black Knight. They just assumed he was going to be the Black Knight in this film.
Right.
But turns out he's not right away.
Yep. His family though has some
Mm-hmm.
history.
So do you know who that voice was at the end?
Yeah, it was Blade. It was
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali.
Wow, you gave me shit last time for trying to say his name. Now you give me shit.
Well, I have to
I
give
don't
you
know.
shit.
Mahershala Ali, I think his name is Mahershala. Well, it doesn't matter. Point is, yes, it was Blade.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah.
Blade. Yep, Blade is
So,
finally he was already confirmed, but like clearly they're finally trying to fit him into it. They're building a lot up right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everyone's getting frustrated with the Eternals, because there were just too many characters. Here's the thing. They had to. They have to rebuild this whole universe again. So, and the thing with Eternals, apparently Eternals is a very boring comic book anyways. So a lot of people found the movie very boring. But I don't know. I found it was a good change of pace for, for a
I
movie.
enjoyed what it was.
I mean, it didn't need the sex scene in it, but whatever, that's fine.
The interesting part with it is now that it's on Disney Plus, it's actually been the most successful movie so far. Movie release so far on Disney Plus. I don't have the stat for how big of it was.
I think it was like 2 million in like a week or something. It was kind of crazy. I can't remember. They announced it today or something. Yeah, it was good. Some of the characters are a little dried out, but I think with this is how they're going to start bringing more of the actual Celestials into the beings. This is how they can redo, a theory where like Thanos was really there just to try to stop the emergence. He wasn't trailing, like he took away this stuff, so the emergence, because he's half deviant and he's half eternal. So he's just an eternal born with the deviant gene. So that's why he looks so different. And then you have Egos, who got announced as well at the end of it. It would be interesting to see how he has the heart beacon from what's her face? Can't remember all the names.
There's a lot of names.
Yeah. But I did enjoy. There was one scene they cut out from it. If you watch the deleted scenes, Sprite and Kid Harington's character is talking in the museum, and she because she's Sprite can make illusions, right? That's her power. Kind of boring. Whatever. I'd be pissed too if I can't grow old and all I can do is make illusions. That really suck. Anyways, So she was like, she made one of like she dinosaurs than actual deviant, and they're like, no, this is an actual deviant. It's not a dinosaur. It's not a whatever the hell you just called it. Like, she kind of because she hates Kid Carrington's character mostly because he's human, and she's in love with the other guy, Icarus. Anyways, and then she kind of like keeps telling him no, like she doesn't straight out say that they're Eternals, but like every time they go past something, no, that's Athena. No, it's just Athena. No, it's Athena. No, that's just Athena, and that her rod is made of like spiritual powers. Yeah, okay. Like you just kind of like she kind of just kind of. It was a funny scene. I get why they cut it because it is kind of a little dull at some
time
points,
here and there, and they covered the Athena thing in other moments throughout the movie. So
yeah, and then it's just like she just tries to explain to him, trying to keep getting him to realize that they're older than they look.
Yeah. My most surprising moment of the movie that made me chuckle was when they were talking about like Batman and Superman and how somebody kept calling Icarus like that's Superman.
Well, it is. It's just a blatant ripoff of Superman.
100%. But I just loved it because I'm just like, wow, that's like hilarious. And in a way, it's almost kind of like, like DC comic heroes are just comics, but we're the real things. You know what I mean? Like,
kinda, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But I also think it was playing nice. You know what I mean? The fact that Marvel was willing to acknowledge those characters.
Well, Superman was the first comic book, I'm pretty sure. Like Action Heroes #1 is one of the first major comic books, right? I think he was before anything Marvel did. But
Superman's widely hailed as the first superhero appearing in Action Comics #1, as you said, in June 1938. And he was the prototype for the many costume superheroes that followed.
Exactly. So I think but the thing is how do you not unwatch that to Superman? Like that he's basically Superman. And I saw somebody comment why not they just call him Iron Man or refer to him as Iron Man, somebody in their universe. I'm like, Iron Man doesn't shoot shit from his eyes. So
that's two very different characters comparatively, right?
It was
here's an alien from space who comes in, can fly, has super strength, super speed, and can shoot lasers out of his eyes.
And then there was
likes to fly close to the sun. Too close, some would say.
And the one time they were like, oh, they were talking about how Thor was a kid, and he's like, oh, Thor never left Earth, never left Asgard as a kid. Odin says that. I'm like, no, the only thing Odin said was that he was old enough to go fight in the original Ice Wars. He would go to Earth, him and Loki would go to Earth all the time. As children, just play on tricks on humans. There's a point where they talk about the first war on Earth that Odin comes and helps fight with, but he brings Asgard to help fight whatever. I forget the land is called. It's actually the land where they make New Asgard.
That's cool.
Endgame. It's if you look at the sign, it says New Asgard or whatever. But it says previously called whatever that thing was, whatever that name is. So that's kind of, and that's where everyone thinks they kind of met up with the Eternals and hung out with them, partied with them. Though the Eternals never get involved. They weren't supposed to get involved, or were they supposed to? Who knows? Well,
I mean, we know they weren't supposed to, right?
Yeah, except for the one, and then he went all batshit and did a whole thing. And his character was a little weird for me. I mean, I got it, but it was back and forth between being friendly and then being a real dick. It was kind of
a I know what you're saying. He was not a likable character, but I understood why he was the way he was.
He was pushed to the brink. He cared about the people, but nobody else wanted to.
I mean, everybody else was just committed to their mission, but he was like, "Fuck the mission!"
Apparently everyone else knew the mission until not everyone,
not everybody, just Icarus.
Not Icarus. Was it Icarus?
Icarus found out right after
Icarus. Icarus found out. Yeah, split up. But what's her face found out right away, didn't she? Didn't she tell?
Oh, Selma Hayek's character knew the whole time.
Selma Hayek told them all, wasn't it?
No.
I can't remember exactly.
Selma Hayek knew, and then she just told Icarus. I just watched this last week. This is nobody else knew.
Because I feel like she told somebody when they broke up.
It was just Icarus.
I know that she told him eventually,
and that's why he left. What's her name for that whole period of time was because he wouldn't be able to like not tell her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he just went batshit crazy anyways. He flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, they
yeah.
weren't shy with that decision, eh?
No. But I get it.
But he lived up to his namesake.
It's not like I said, it wasn't a very traditional Marvel movie, so a lot of people are
No,
upset with
no.
that. And
Yeah,
I don't get that. I mean, like things need to change a little bit. Like you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. It gets
but this is
monotonous.
just it. Like a lot of people are, creature comforts. They like it. They like what they know. They like what they can expect. And so like that's people in a nutshell. And I'm really
I know, I
happy
get
that
that.
Disney
But
and Marvel have decided to break out of, what the formula is and, the guaranteed paydays. And they're saying, no, we're going to take a chance on these new characters, doing it in a different way we've done it previously.
but
And
here's
like
the
I
thing.
appreciate that,
I
even
guess
if it's
Sony.
not
This is
always
Sony.
good,
What I'm talking. Yeah, well, this is what I'm talking. Like, not necessarily. I guess it's Sony that's making this decision, but no, it's Disney. So, anyways, like it's already been announced that Sam Raimi has decided to make more cameos for Doctor Strange because of the success of what Spider-Man did.
That's
And
cool.
my concern is when is too much. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like how?
Sure.
Like apparently it's gonna be out. It's gonna be more cameos of people than there was in Endgame in Infinity War.
There will be more Marvel characters in Doctor
Yes,
Strange. Yes, yes,
yes,
yes, yes. Yeah,
and which is kind of crazy for a
yeah.
standalone
I
movie.
mean, Endgame. There was a lot of characters in that. So how do you top that in a
And then
way that
that's what again
doesn't
because
just
then
take over the movie?
a lot of people are going to continue doing it. They're going to say, "Oh, we need to bring somebody else in to give that
Mm.
surprise factor." I'm like, okay, but when is that going to be too much?
Yeah,
Do you
I
know what I
think the
mean?
one thing
Like
that
the thing
works
is
for
with
Doctor
this.
Strange's movie is like it is intended to be kind of like, you know, going everywhere throughout all
Mhm.
universes. So
Well, the thing is,
it's
they're
like,
already like, well, Doctor Strange was supposed to come out before Spider Man, originally, so that's
mm,
why Spider Man changed with the multiverse a little bit. Originally, that's why Doctor Strange got him more of into it than he was
mm.
because it was supposed to be,
That was the
um,
original scheduled time
yeah, it was
frame.
supposed to be switched. I think because it was supposed to come out in November, and Spider Man was supposed to be like a June or July release,
Mhm.
which would have made sense. But then they switched it, and then because America, um, what's her name? America something. The girl that's coming in from in Doctor Strange was supposed to be the original person who brings in like the other Spider-Mans apparently. Because she has the power to travel through the multiverse, and that's kind of a big thing in
Right.
Doctor Strange's thing. That's why they haven't really talked about her in the trailer because they need to explain her.
Sure.
You only see her like very vaguely in the trailers, but she's there with her,
Mm.
and everyone's seeing this girl with red hair. Unfortunately, it's Rachel McAdams. It's not Jean um,
Right.
Gray, which they could still do.
Yeah.
This is how they could introduce the mutants, and this could be a whole thing. There's a big rumor that they actually like it's just a big rumor, but a lot of people are like talking about it. Is that they confirmed that John Krasinski is coming to play Mr. Invincible
Hmm.
in or Mr. Incredible. I don't remember his
Mr.
name.
Incredible. Yeah.
But
Mr.
like
Fantastic.
a variant version of him.
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic, that's it. A variant version. So if it works, that he would continue to play it. If not, they don't need to keep him.
Got it.
That's what
Interesting.
the idea is.
Mm.
Which is a good way to test it for
Yeah.
sure. A lot of and there's always and then obviously the whole thing where like right now I'm in one major crazy so cameo is going to be that everyone's really wanted forever. So everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Wolverine. Blah 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 blah. We'll see what happens, I guess.
We'll see what
But
happens.
yeah, this is how they're going to start opening up a lot more stuff. Like you look at the end of Spider-Man, you see like Craven, Rhino, Scorpion all in the air. Some people saw Black Cat or some sort of woman. Um, and then there is also another spidery looking thing. I don't know what that was, but there's a lot out there. Some people saw
Yeah.
Mysterio. The only one I ever saw was Craven because it happened so quickly. But I know I'd have to see it again. It should be in digital in the next few months anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Exciting times.
What
Cool.
else?
Well, yeah.
What else?
Lots happening in the Marvel verse, that's for sure.
Yeah, and in the DC world too. They
What's
announced
going on in DC?
So they showed a picture of Batgirl finally
Ooh.
in her costume. It looks all right. Everyone, there's obviously people are gonna hate it until they actually see it. But yeah, it's played by what's her name? I'm not gonna remember anyone's name ever because when I need to, Leslie Grace, who if you watched what was it? In the Heights, she plays the young daughter that went to college and doesn't want to do college anymore. Um, and if you're watching us, this is where you're gonna see. You can see her. It's not too bad. You know,
Yeah,
kept the
it's
red
an
hair,
interesting choice.
um, which is interesting because it's gonna be very
Mhm.
interesting. Because if you know anything about Batgirl, she's Barbara Gordon. She's the daughter of Detective Gordon, who is
Mhm.
going to be played by J.K. Simmons again.
Oh, I
Um,
did hear that. That's great. I like
So
that
he's
he's come
coming
back
back to
for that.
play, and it's gonna be and who else is coming back is Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's gonna come back and play Bruce Wayne again
Very cool.
for
Very
this
cool.
one. So lots gonna
Man,
happen.
Michael Keaton's just everywhere recently, eh?
I
He's been
swear to so I wrote
popping
a
up.
thing on Facebook maybe like when The Bird came out, which would have
Sure.
been I think 2015, 2016.
Great movie. Yeah.
And this like right after that they announced he wanted to be play Falcon. He was playing Falcon in Spider-Man. And I wrote a thing. It's like I'm pretty sure Michael Keaton just wants to be a bird. Because if you look at his three major roles, because Michael Keaton was nominated for an Oscar, I think he actually won it for The Bird. He may
Yeah.
have not, but he
Birdman.
Birdman, and he's
Yeah.
really running through the street as a bird. He's
Yeah.
played Batman, who's a bat. Plays Falcon, who's a falcon, and then he keeps going back to play Batman. I mean, I would play Batman all the time too if I was him, making money and be considered.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was a poll. Somebody put it up on Facebook today. There was some stupid website like MovieWeb or something, and they put it up, and there was like, a new poll says that um, Christian Bale was the best Batman ever. And every comment was like, "Are you shitting me?" No, like it was so like there was like obviously a few people were like, "Yeah, I was the best Batman ever." I'm like, and then like everyone else is like, "You're fucking dumb." Like you're not
I
asking
mean,
like.
that's always going to turn into a flame. Like nobody is ever going to like settle on who the best Batman is.
Well, the
Everybody's going to have
majority of the
their favorite
comments
Batman, right?
was Michael Keaton. Like everyone
I'm
was
not
saying, like
surprised.
Michael
Yeah.
Keaton was the best one.
But I think over time you're going to find that opinion will change and evolve and
We've talked about this before, yeah.
we
Like
have. Yeah.
like many times. Like The Dark Knight is such a cult film for
Yeah.
film in general
Oh
that
yeah.
everyone
Dark Knight
kind
was a
of
great
portrays
movie.
it as that like they consider the best Batman movie. It's not, but it's
It's just a
considered.
really good movie. Like
Yes, exactly.
like
But the
you don't
problem
have
with
to
that,
say
people are
yeah.
relating it to because they're in love with the performance of the Joker of
Yes.
Heath Ledger, which has nothing to do with Batman. He barely shares scenes with Batman, in my opinion. He has two scenes with Batman that he's actually
Mm.
face to face with Batman, and it's like,
Yeah.
and those two scenes were good. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Well, the last one wasn't. The last one kind of was stupid and rushed. You can tell because they kind of
Well, it wasn't
that
supposed
wasn't
to be
supposed to be
end.
the ending, but um, the jail scene was very dramatic. The way they shot it was dramatic. It wasn't even then. Batman kind of wouldn't play it that way, but not the point.
But that
We
was
can go down this
Christopher
road.
Nolan's Batman, right? And that's
Yeah,
the character he had built and the point he was at physically and mentally
yeah.
with what was going on, right?
Because
So
Batman's the world's best detective. He would have figured it out otherwise.
huh.
But that was the thing about Joker is that he could always confuse the Batman because they're the
Yeah.
same person. That's the thing about them. They're the same person, just at different like different ranges of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? That's why they can work so. That's why they were so together.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then we also got the first three episodes of Peacemaker that came out on
Peacemaker.
HBO.
Hmm.
Did you watch the video I sent? You probably didn't. Yeah, didn't think so. Such a shame. Such a shame. It's something you'd really like to. What a shame.
I'll check it out.
Such a shame. Such a shame. Why do I even bother? Why do I even bother? I'm not bothering anymore, guys. This is
I don't
it.
even
That's
know where
it. I'm
you
calling
sent
it.
it now. I'm looking.
Calling it. That's it.
Where is it? Do. How long ago did you send this?
Well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's just the opening credits. I was gonna watch that until I watched the show.
Watch the credits. It's funny
Why?
because it might give you a just into how the show goes.
Well, I was intending on watching the show one way or the other. I don't
Well,
want
it's
to.
out now.
I'm always gonna skip stuff that's like spoilery or like
It's not
parts of the
spoiling
experience of the
at
show.
all.
I don't watch opening credits of anything until I've watched the actual show. So that was an intentional decision of me not watching it.
Yeah, sure. Could have said that, but no.
No, instead I said, haha, here we go.
Yeah, and then didn't do anything about it.
To be fair, I was intending on watching it 2 days ago. It just didn't end up happening.
Shame.
But you know what I did watch?
Something stupid?
Boba Fett. I'm all caught up.
So something stupid. All right. Okay, go on.
Actually,
no.
I will argue the opposite.
This episode was actually
awesome.
okay. Well, I wouldn't
It
say
was the best
awesome.
episode of the show so far.
I think last one was. This one was kind of monotonous in the sense that like it started in a flashback and then it didn't.
The whole episode was more or less a flashback.
Yeah, my thing is like, when do we get to the point, like you said last week, that these flashbacks aren't permanent anymore?
I think it's done now. You know,
I don't
like
think so.
The way they, I mean, the flashbacks were all tied to him being in the tank, right? The healing tank, and he's healed now. So, like as of the end of this episode, he is fully healed. So, as far as I'm concerned, he should be done with that tank, which means we should be done with the flashbacks. Because also, we're caught up to the point that he was a Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
Just if you were watching,
whoever's watching, they would have.
Spoiler alert.
They should know by now. If you watch this show, listen to this show, we're going to talk spoilers. And yeah, no, 100%. I think there's only 2 more episodes, right?
Yeah, there's 7. I think it's a weird number.
Oh, is there 7? Okay, so 3 more episodes.
6, 7 or 6. I don't remember.
Somewhere in there. They're done with the tank. I think they're done with the flashbacks. We're caught up to where they were in the Mandalorian. We've already seen what happened in the Mandalorian. They already skipped the stuff that happened in the Mandalorian, showed us the scene of him taking Boba Fett's palace. There's no more reason to have flashbacks at this point. You know what I mean? Unless it's like for something like super specific, if they're doing kind of like what Arrow did, which is terrible, and I really hope they don't do that.
There has been no theme, and not theme. Theme's the wrong word. No direction. Do I see where this is going? I do not see where they're going with this show. I obviously, because we already knew that he was taking over the Domino, but I just don't see where the big ending is. You know, I don't like the only ending I see is like, oh, okay, now I've created peace on Mos Eisley or wherever the hell they are.
Well, this is just it. It's building up to this standoff with this like Outlander thing. It's basically the story of Dune.
And like they make this the best character that they brought in, the Black Karistan or whatever his name is. I can never say it.
Yep.
He's so crazy, like in the books, apparently, when I was reading about him. And they kind of just wimp him out. Not even in this episode. They kind of make him back down a little bit. He still rips off the guy's arm, but he's more destructive of that. He literally went up against Obi-Wan Kenobi and lived. Like that's like his scar on his face is from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Sure.
And like to live from an attack with Obi-Wan Kenobi, like an actual war, is kind of big. And the kind of in the last episode in the pussy, like how he just like, you can go, okay, and then slowly runs away. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm with her.
There's a lot
about
the show that I've not been impressed with. A lot of this show that I feel, and I think I sent you like a little like meme yesterday about like,
and I'm like,
it does feel a little bit. It feels rushed.
The thing about it is too, like, yeah, I agree. It's a little rushed. I think they're trying to get Mandalorian going. They wanted something out because Mandalorian couldn't be produced. Here's the thing: at the end of this episode, obviously the other Mandalorians are coming. Because if you were paying attention enough, that you'd hear the Mandalorian theme play instead of the Boba Fett play, and then the credits hit, and then you hit the Boba Fett sound.
Right.
Because when she's like, "Oh, there's people willing to do it if you're going to pay them," and then the Mandalorian theme went.
Yeah.
So obviously, either Mando's coming or the other Mandalorians are. He's going to find more. Anyways, what was I saying? Like in the episode before, like 2 episodes when they introduced Black Karistan, Caraxatan, Carissa. Anyways,
Oh boy.
when they introduced
Moving on.
him, he made this big, epic, slow motion shot of like him coming in, which was really cool and well done. And they didn't do anything with him. There's no big fight scene. There's a little bit of fight scene with him where he's outnumbered and he's just out and he loses. It would have been much better had he won and got out of there.
Yeah.
Not won. He was there to kill him, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't something where they trapped him and got him. He got out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they let him go. Like, and this, yes, and then they got the Rancor, and I'm sure that's going to be a whole thing too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a little bit too much fan service with the Rancor thing, but it makes sense. It's a power move. I get it. And I think there's more to it from the
Danny
Jawas.
Trudeau coming in to play the handler, which was interesting.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to do with the Hutts, and I think the fact that they kind of just played it up because the Hutts have so much power in that part of the world space.
Yeah.
Like even if you watch Rebels and like not Rebels,
Clone
Wars, you see a lot more of the Hutts, and it's like the Council of the Hutts and how there's 6 of them, and it's like it's kind of crazy. And did you know they can actually walk? And then you realize, and then so babies can actually walk on their feet, and eventually they degrade to just floating around on their tails. It's kind of weird. Anyways,
I mean, there's lizards out there that start with legs and then they eventually lose them. So
yeah. But anyways, it was okay. This one was a little bit more longer. It was a lot more to it, which was fine. I found the snake CGI was kind of weird. Not the snake. The whole pit. Oh fuck! What are these things called? I can't remember. Pit. Yeah, the pit part. Like the CGI was kind of like wonky on that a bit, but
yeah.
What are you gonna do with the dark?
It looked similar to how it did when they did the remaster.
Oh, when they got out, like when they were out of it, like but when they actually were like in the dark hole when the tongues came out, like you could tell it was very computerized, and you could tell.
Yeah. The show feels rushed.
Yeah.
This was the first episode that I walked away from that I was like, oh, I really enjoyed that episode. Like, I'm looking forward to the next episode. I still have my qualms with it. I still like, looking at Boba Fett's armor still bothers me every time I look at it. Looking at, I can't remember his name, but the Wookiees are like,
black pad.
They had a close up at one point, and like it looked like foam pad with some spray paint on it. Like it's just like there was just a lot of stuff that I was looking at. I'm like, it doesn't feel as polished. And when I say polished, that's that may give off the wrong impression of what I'm looking for. Like what I mean by polish is, I mean like it doesn't have the feeling of Star Wars, because Star Wars always felt very real. Like they always did a good job of making props and things that felt like they could actually be there and be used, and like they looked used. It wasn't the dystopian or the utopia that Star Trek presents, where everything's clean and glistening and shiny, right?
Oh, they're in
space and universe is amazing. Star Wars was always very gritty and dirty, but it felt lived in. It felt real.
Well, Star Wars, like the thing with Star Wars I found was just like obviously is a universe, built on war. So everything was kind of like you're either poor or you're rich. That was kind of where I was. And then Star Wars Trek, I mean, I watched a lot of the newer Star Trek. I watched a lot of the newer Star Trek, which Discovery, the new season's out, and I haven't watched it yet, but it was a really well done show. Anyways, that one, it's very clean, but they're in space. It's hard to make good dust and stuff in space, make mess in space, in my opinion, when you're eating.
I know, when ships go in and out of atmospheres, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we know so much about that.
Well, we know how it works.
But what it takes if you want to think about it that way, that's 400,000 years in the future. Not 400,000, but 100-something years in the future where they're going to figure out how this stuff works.
And Star Wars is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So
there you go. See, that's why.
Fair enough. Anyway, I just, looking at, critiquing the show, looking at the props, looking at the outfits, looking at all the stuff, I've just found over and over, I feel like it didn't get the same level of attention as even Mandalorian, but like other Star Wars properties. And like this to me was like, this was an important one. Like Boba Fett is a really, really loved character. And I
think I think that with this one is that they're taking place in a place that's very war torn and gang ridden. So I mean, there could be some evidence to like why they're not putting as much effort into their sets. Like, I mean, like, you're right, Rush. There's screenshots of buildings on Tatooine with wood built into them that
Yeah, which
wouldn't
is
have
I'm fine
wood.
with all
Like
that. Yeah.
not like wood, but like brand new set wood. You could tell
Oh, yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's
It's not as rustic as it should
it's
look.
yeah, they're just small mishaps like that. You can see like
Yeah.
stupid stuff. But no water bottles yet, but we'll find that, I'm sure. But I don't know. Yeah, the costume
Um,
stuff, like I mean, like I think they're just trying to make him a little bit more human. I don't know. But who
yeah.
knows?
It was something that like I don't think I realized fully until this episode. All the scars and everything over him turns out it was all from the Sarlacc pit. It wasn't just like how Boba Fett looked under his helmet all those years. Like
No.
he
Yeah, it's because it
was all
was.
that
Yeah,
damage from the Sarlacc
you
pit.
didn't
I
get
didn't
that.
put two and two together. Like I didn't realize that
Oh,
was
yeah.
what was going
Well,
on,
like,
why he was
yeah.
all looking like that. So like when he finally gets out of the tank this episode and she's like, "Oh, you're healed," and you see him, he's got the dark eyebrows and everything. I'm like, "Oh, I get it." Like
Yeah, I
it's just
caught
like
that on right away because like he was obviously because
didn't
when he
pick that
comes
up.
out and they take the armor off of him, he's smoking.
Yeah,
Like when they take the armor off of him,
yeah.
and
it didn't clue
yeah,
in
these
until this
armor is
episode.
what
And she's
saved. Like
like,
they
"You're
say in this
burning," blah blah
episode,
blah.
what they said
Yeah,
in this episode, like the armor is what saved him. Like if you look at
yeah.
like
This
stormtrooper
episode
armor,
really clarified it. Yep.
stormtrooper armor is not good, and
No, no,
it's
no.
always been said
Well,
that.
it's
That's why
their
there's a dead
military. They give.
stormtrooper in
Yeah,
there with him, but he's
yeah,
alive, right? Like there's
yeah,
a reason for that.
yeah. There's a billion stormtroopers that need armor, but Mandalorians are a little different, especially like
Well,
Boba
yeah, they
Fett.
earn their armor, right?
Yeah.
And their gold,
So
and their silver, or
they're
whatever. The Beskar armor, and
they're
gold.
a bit
I don't.
fancier.
But like you see some of the other ones, though. Like you did all the aliens when they had like the table, the dinner. Like some of the lizards looked a little weak, but I think that's just because they were using the same um costumes from back then. They obviously improved them,
Which
but
is
they wanted to make
fine.
sure
Yeah,
they had the look
it
like
felt right.
exactly
Yeah,
like you know
and
what I mean.
I was okay with that. That didn't bother
So
me as much.
they're not
I
gonna
just
look as
like
pristine, but
when I look at Boba's armor in particular, it just bothers me. Like it doesn't look like his armor enough to me. Like it looks too different.
well,
I know.
it's been the last time we saw it wasn't in a Sarlacc pit where it was getting beaten up by acid and
Yeah,
destroyed. You got to think about that too, right?
yeah,
We
but
don't
it doesn't.
know.
It looks too clean. This is what I'm saying. Like it doesn't
Well,
look
acid
beat
can
up
make
like it's
things
supposed to.
clean, man. You never know. You vomit on some stuff and see what happens. What happens when after it comes
All
out?
right, I'll go for it.
You get that bile in there and clean up some metal. See what happens.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
never know. Maybe you get a whole new shine.
Overall, though, at this point, I'm still kind of like a 6 out of 10 on the series. We'll see where I'm at by
Yeah.
the time it's over, but I'm like it hasn't been a great show up until this point. This episode was definitely for me the best episode so far. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes, how they get it to the end here, wherever it's going.
Yes. Star Wars. Yes. Yeah, well, Star Wars for you. We'll see some more stuff in the new year. There's we still haven't heard anything about Tales of the Jedi yet. Which is a lot of people are wondering what they're going to do with that because the only time frame left to talk about is between Luke Skywalker and Rey. What happens between after Episode 6 and between 7? That's the only thing they can talk about realistically.
Unless they're talking about stuff before.
No, well, I mean they got Obi-Wan that will talk between what will happen between 3 and 4. Like they have that to talk about.
No, I mean like pre the movies.
I guess they could do the High Republic, but I think they've been trying to keep High Republic really too close to the comic books. They've been really been focused on High Republic with the comic books. The comic book series of the High Republic is actually coming to an end, or at least the first series of it is coming to an end. So it's I haven't read them, but I've been watching the news about it, and it's like it's a big deal. It's coming to an end, so that's interesting. And then like High Republic, something like they don't like to talk about when George Lucas had a lot of power. Even Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like talking about it. I don't know why, because it feels like a lot of work for them probably because they have to build a whole new universe out of it. Because the only character they can really bring in is Yoda, and they're doing that with Eclipse. Well, Yoda was in the trailer, but so we assume it was Yoda. You never know who could have been. Could have been his girlfriend. You never know.
You never know. It is what it is,
Star
man.
Wars. It is
Well,
what it is. But yeah, so there you go. That's
indeed,
what I
indeed,
got.
indeed.
Oh my
Cool, man.
boy.
Well, that's all I got for today. Do you have any final words to share with everybody?
Oh man, not really. You know. They're actually one. If you're in the big comic world, the DC Comics is actually going to stop making Justice League comics soon. That's kind of crazy. Just a small incident there.
How long until they bring it back, though? Realistically.
Well, the thing with the Justice League is that there's so much. The characters are changing over. Like Batman is no longer Bruce Wayne. They're kind of bringing. It's kind of like they're just moving on with newer characters.
Right. Yeah.
So there will be probably a new Justice League, but like there is already a new Justice League and stuff like that. They're never going to stop writing Batman movies, comics and Superman comics, and because Superman comics are the longest running comic book of all time. But yeah, the series of Justice League right now is coming to an end, and it's kind of a big deal for a lot of comic book nerds because it's like, how do you get rid of the biggest grouping of superheroes in the DC universe? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh well, we'll see what happens there. Other news out there is they announced King of the Hills being revived.
Yeah. Yep.
With the same cartoon people. The original series creators are overseeing the project. Sorry, that's what.
Yeah.
So that's
Mike
cool.
Judge and whatnot. They've just moved on to another platform. But yeah,
if you're into that kind of stuff, check out Peacemaker. It's on HBO Max in the States
or Crave for us
Crave in Canada.
Canadians.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind it. It's different, that's for sure. It's got to be on an HBO show for sure. It's a lot of killing and swearing, so get used to that. If you're not into that, get ready for it.
Yep.
Anyways, that's all I got. That's all
Sweet.
I got.
Well, everybody, thanks for listening. If you don't know, now you know. And if you still don't know, well, all you need to know is that there's a new Alexis Sapphire album coming out, and it's real.
Maybe.
So
I got the box set right there. Maybe it is what it is. You never know. You never know. It could happen. It could not happen. It could be all fake. I feel like I'm gonna be a little jolted if they do make one, because now what the hell? Now they have to give it to me for free for the box set. Like what the hell? Now they keep releasing these small like songs, and I have to buy them and then put it in the box set. And like what the hell, man? I spent $50. What was it at the time? $500 to do it, or maybe it was $1,000. I think it was $1,000. Anyways, I can't remember. It was years ago. Anyways, okay, bye.
Bye.